Hello students, welcome to the lecture series on international business. This is the last topic of international business that I am going to discuss with you. We will continue with the topic that we were discussing on, that is contemporary issues in international business, and this is part 6th. I am Professor Soma Sen Gupta, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. Now, in this lecture, we will specifically discuss the 17 Sustainable Development Goals SDGs in detail that we have enumerated in our last lecture. Now, these Sustainable Development Goals, as we have discussed in the last lecture, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030 all people enjoy peace and prosperity. And we have said that the 17 SDGs are all integrated, and Niti Aayog is the nodal institution for SDGs in India. Now, let us discuss these 17 SDGs in detail. The first SDG 1 is no poverty. So, this is first one, no poverty. Now, you know that eradicating poverty in all its form remains one of the greatest challenges facing humanity. And there is a great divide between the countries. So, the world is divided into global north and global south, in the sense that it is not, we are not talking about the hemisphere, we are talking about in terms of the haves and have-nots. So, there are countries which are very prosperous, and they are the global north, and the developing countries or underdeveloped countries who have minimum of resources, and they are called the global south. Now, while the number of people living in extreme poverty dropped by more than half between 1990 and 2015, too many are still struggling for the most basic human needs, especially in underdeveloped countries. Now, as of 2015, about 736 million people still lived on less than US $1.9 per day. Many lack food, clean drinking water, and sanitation. Rapid growth in countries such as China and India has lifted millions out of poverty, but progress has been uneven. The SDGs are a bold commitment to end poverty in all forms and dimensions by 2030. This involves targeting the most vulnerable, increasing basic resources and services, and supporting communities affected by conflict and climate-related disasters. Now, in India, since independence, we talked about eradicating poverty. And the governments, they came and they went away, and many of the governments always they have this first agenda of removing poverty. And how they are doing that? By improving the employment situations and doing a lot of things for the downtrodden. Then second SDG is zero hunger. Now, zero hunger is another objective of these SDGs. The number of undernourished people has dropped by almost half in the past 2 decades because of rapid economic growth and increased agricultural productivity. Like in India also, previously, because of the vagaries of weather, drought condition, famine conditions were there, and since food security was not there, so many people used to die during those calamities. And who can forget the Great Bengal famine? Now, with food security, what is happening? Green revolution took place, food security took place. Now, this number of people who are undernourished or whose hunger is not met has reduced drastically in our country as well. Many developing countries that used to suffer from famine and hunger can now meet their nutritional needs as well. The SDG aim to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people, especially children, have sufficient and nutritious food all year. This involves promoting sustainable agriculture, supporting small-scale farmers, and equal access to land, technology and markets. It also requires international cooperation to ensure investment in infrastructure and technology to improve agricultural productivity. The third SDG is good health and well-being. Now, this is also all, as I said, all these SDGs are interrelated. So, if poverty is not there, if hunger is not there, then also it will be helpful for maintaining health and well-being of people. So, in this good health and well-being SDG, if we see the global work that has happened in this direction, so progress has been achieved towards this goal. Life expectancy has increased dramatically. Infant and maternal mortality rates have declined. Diseases like HIV and malaria deaths have halved. Good health is essential to sustainable development. It takes into account widening economic and social inequalities, rapid urbanization, threats to the climate and environment, HIV and other infectious diseases and non-communicable diseases. Universal health coverage will be integral to achieving SDG 3, ending poverty and reducing inequalities. But the world is off track to achieve the health related SDGs, and progress has been uneven both between and within countries. So, between countries, as I said, the underdeveloped countries, they are still struggling in this direction, as well as within country also. Some of the regions, like take the example of India, in some of the states we have this good health, well-being, but some of the states or some of the areas are still struggling. Then the fourth SDG is quality education. Since 2000, there has been enormous progress in achieving the target of universal primary education, literacy rates and education of girls. And this is situation not only in the world but also in our country, where universal primary education is there. In fact, till class 8th, this universal education program is there, so that every child at least achieve the 8th passing stage. The total enrollment rate in developing regions reached 91% in 2015. Progress has also been tough in some developing regions due to high levels of poverty, armed conflicts and other emergencies. Achieving inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms the belief that education is a powerful vehicle for sustainable development. Now, this goal ensures that all girls and boys complete free primary and secondary schooling by 2030. So, in some of the countries already the free education is there, but in some other countries they are trying to provide that. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training to eliminate gender and wealth disparities and achieve universal access to a quality higher education. The fifth goal is gender equality. Now, ending all discrimination against women and girls is crucial for sustainable future, as empowering you women and girls helps economic growth and development. Now, UNDP, that is United Nations Development Programme, has made gender equality central to its work. Now, though women in workforce is very common and it is increasing, there exists large inequalities in some regions, with women systematically denied the same work rights as men. Even same pay is not given for the same work to the women employees. Sexual violence and exploitation and discrimination in public office all remain huge barriers. It is vital to give women equal rights in land and property as well, and ensure sexual and reproductive health. Today, there are more women in public offices in many countries and in our country also than ever before. Encouraging more women leaders will help achieve greater gender equality. Now, in India, you know that 33% reservation for women is there in many areas, even in political posts. Then the sixth SDG is clean water and sanitation. Now, water scarcity is affecting more than 40% of people as the temperatures are rising, and many of the cities are are on the verge of water scarcity, too much water scarcity, and there will be a day called ground zero where there will be no water at all. So, Cape Town in South Africa faced that kind of situation, although they reverted back the situation. They took some measures to ensure that ground zero situation does not happen. Although 2.1 billion people have improved water sanitation since 1990, dwindling drinking water supplies are affecting every continent. More and more countries are experiencing water stress, drought and desertification, which is all the more worsening the situation. By 2050, it is projected that at least 1 in 4 people will suffer recurring water shortages, and there is a fear of water wars that will happen between the countries or between the regions. Like in India also, there was for a very long period of time many of the states in the southern area were fighting with each other for Kaveri water sharing. Likewise, the countries will also enter into water wars. Then ensuring universal, safe and affordable drinking water involves reaching over 800 million people. Safe and affordable drinking water for all by 2030 requires investment majorly in infrastructure, sanitation facilities and encouraging hygiene. The seventh goal is affordable and clean energy. Between 2000 to 2018, the number of people with electricity increased from 78% to 90%. With growth of population, demand for cheap energy like fossil fuels is creating drastic change to our climate. So, now we have to move towards cleaner energy like vehicles which are EVs. Investing in solar, wind and thermal power, improving energy productivity and ensuring energy for all is vital for achieving SDG 7 by 2030. Upgradation of technology to provide clean and efficient energy in all countries will encourage growth and help the environment. The 8th SDG is decent world and economic growth. Now, over the past 25 years, the number of workers living in extreme poverty has declined dramatically. Now, this will ensure decent living also. However, according to the International Labour Organization, more than 204 million people were unemployed in 2015. So, if people are not getting employment, how can you ensure decent world for them or decent living for them? The SDGs promote sustained economic growth, higher levels of productivity and technology innovation, encourage entrepreneurship and job creation, effective measures to eradicate forced labor, slavery and human trafficking are some of the solutions. With these targets in mind, the goal is to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men by 2030. Ninth SDG is industry, innovation and infrastructure. Now, investment in infrastructure and innovation are crucial drivers for economic growth and development. Mass transport, communication technologies, renewable energies, these are becoming more important with rapid urbanization. Bridging digital divide will ensure equal access to information, foster innovation and entrepreneurship. Promoting sustainable industries and investing in scientific research and innovation are important ways to facilitate sustainable development. Now, the 10th SDG is reduction in inequalities. Income inequality is on the rise as the richest 10% have up to 40% of global income. The widening disparities require sound policies to empower lower income earners and promote economic inclusion of all, regardless of sex, race and ethnicity. Now, the global solutions are needed like monitoring and regulating the financial markets and institutions, encouraging FDI, that is foreign direct investment, to regions where the need is greatest. Although in India we talk about balanced regional development, and we have been talking about it since our first 5-year plan, but we can see lopsided development of regions. So that is why foreign direct investment is needed in those backward areas also, so that they can also grow. Facilitating the safe migration and mobility of people is also key to bridging the widening divide. Coming to SDG number 11, that is sustainable cities and communities. Now, by 2050, 2/3 of all will be urban. So, urbanization is taking place at a very high rate, faster rate. So, sustainable development cannot be achieved without significantly transforming the way we build and manage our urban spaces. You know that too much of congestion is there. You must have heard about the first agglomerative factors, which results in growth of cities and people coming to those cities, migrating to those cities, and then those agglomerative, the positive factors which has the pulling power, they turn into negative factors, and that is why they become deglomerative, and then people move away, try to move away from those cities. So, managing the urban spaces well and in a sustainable way is also very important. The rapid growth of cities as a result of rising population and increasing migration has led to boom in mega cities. Nowadays, we have more number of mega cities. Previously in India also, we used to talk about 4 metropolitan cities, metro cities. But now the number of metro cities, mega cities have multiplied. But with that comes many of the problems. One of the problem is slums. So, slums are becoming a significant feature of urban life. Making cities sustainable means creating career opportunities, safe and affordable housing, and building resilient societies and economies. It involves investment in public transport, creating green public spaces, and improving urban planning and management. Then the 12th SDG is responsible consumption and production. Now, achieving economic growth and sustainable development requires that we urgently reduce our ecological footprints by changing the way we produce and consume goods and resources, and what we are discarding in the nature. Now, efficient management of natural resources, managing pollutants of all kinds, encouraging industries and consumers to recycle and reduce waste, supporting developing countries, all this will help in achieving sustainable patterns of consumption by 2030. Halving the per capita of global food waste at the retailer and consumer levels will create efficient production and supply chains. So, they talked about reducing the food waste also. This can help with food security and shift us towards a more resource efficient economy. Coming to the 13th SDG is climate action. So, we know that global warming is happening, climate change is happening, but what measures we have to take, or actively what we have to do, steps we have to do, so as to reverse the situation. So, that is climate action. So, global warming is causing climate change which threatens irreversible consequences if we do not act now. So, greenhouse gas emissions are more than 50% higher than in 1990, but now the situation has somehow been managed with lots of conventions that took place and treaties that were signed, that we have managed the greenhouse gas emissions as well. The goal aims to mobilize $100 billion US dollars annually to address the needs of developing countries to both adapt to climate change and invest in low carbon development. Now, as I said that the green technology is not inexpensive, it is very expensive. So, we need funds for that. Supporting vulnerable regions will directly contribute not only to goal 13 but also other SDGs. Then there is a need to integrate disaster risk management measures, sustainable natural resource management and human security into national development strategies. So, that through that we can have some climate action and reverse the negative situation. Then coming to SDG number 14, and that is life below water. Now this is talking more of about the marine life. Over 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. However, today we are seeing 30% of the world's fish stocks over exploited, which is not considered sustainable yield. So if you consume more of the fish now, then how they will reproduce and what will be left in the marine life. So there is a rise in, another problem is ocean acidification. With industrial revolution, ocean acidification has increased. Marine pollution and overwhelming majority of which comes from land-based sources is reaching alarming levels. This SDG, that is life below water, aim to sustainably manage and protect marine and coastal ecosystems from pollutions. Enhancing conservation and the sustainable use of ocean-based resources through international law will also help mitigate some of the challenges facing our oceans. Then the 15th is life on land. Now, human life depends on earth for our sustenance and livelihood. So, plant life provides the human diet, agriculture, economic resources, all these are coming from the mother earth. Forests provide habitats for millions of species, source for clean air and water, and helps in combating climate change. Now, every year millions of hectares of forests are lost, leading to desertification. So, if there are no forests, no plants, no grass, then naturally that land will turn into desert. Biodiversity is at risk also because of wildlife trafficking, fuel conflict is there, and corrupt practices. Urgent action must be taken to reduce the loss of natural habitats and biodiversity, which are part of our common heritage, and support global food and water security, climate change mitigation and adaptation, and peace and security. Now, SDG number 16 is peace, justice, and strong institution. Now, sustainable development is not possible without peace, stability, human rights, and effective governance based on the rule of law. Some regions enjoy peace, security, and prosperity, like the Western world, especially the Europe, Western Europe, and America, Northern America, while others fall into seemingly endless cycles of conflict and violence. You can see the situation in initially in Syria, then in most of the Gulf countries because of the war that was going on with US and Israel on one side, Iran on another side, Lebanon on another side. So, this conflict is what it is doing. It is harmful for the entire region. So, peace, if it does not exist, then sustainability is not possible. And in this war, what is happening? One non-renewable energy resource, that is petroleum, those plants are bombarded by either side, and that is leading to wastage of such a resource. Then the SDG, this peace, justice, and strong institution, also aim to significantly reduce all forms of violence and work with governments and communities to end conflicts and insecurity. Promoting the rule of law and human rights are key to this process, which can be achieved through participation of all countries for global governance. And last SDG number 17 is partnership for the goals. Now, any one country in isolation cannot achieve the SDGs. So, partnerships and cooperation is necessary between the countries and the international bodies so that they can achieve these SDGs. The SDGs can only be realized with strong global partnerships and cooperation. Many countries require official development assistance to encourage growth and trade. Humanitarian crises brought on by conflict or natural disasters. So, they need aid or donations for all these purposes. In fact, United Nations Development Program and many of the international bodies also, they finance or fund such type of SD activities which are initiated towards achieving any of the SDGs. Financial resources and aid is also required for improving access to technology and knowledge, manage debt of developing countries, promoting investment for the least developed, and all that is vital for sustainable growth and development. So, many countries, they do not have the basic resources. So, how can they achieve all 17 SDGs? So, for that they require financial aid, and all the countries, many of the countries and countries from developed world as well as underdeveloped and developing world, they should join hand together for achieving these SDGs. Now, the goals aim to enhance North-South and South-South cooperation. So, North-South does not mean the area we are talking about. As I said, global North are the developed nations and global South are the underdeveloped or less developed countries. So, cooperation is not only required between the North-South countries, but also South-South countries who have equal type of situation. Promoting international trade and helping developing countries increase their exports is all part of achieving a universal rules-based and equitable trading system that is fair and open and benefits all. So, these are the 17 SDGs that we have discussed in this lecture. Let us summarize that. Basically, here again we will discuss that 17 SDGs are there, which are created by the United Nations, and many of the countries have adopted it. In India also, through Niti Aayog, we are ensuring implementation of all these 17 SDGs, and we are working towards achieving them. In some of the SDGs, we have already achieved what is expected from us. So, what are these 17 SDGs? One is no poverty, then 2, zero hunger, 3, good health and well-being, 4, quality education, 5, gender equality, 6, clean water and sanitation, 7, affordable and clean energy, 8, decent world and economic growth, 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, 10, reduction in inequalities, 11, sustainable cities and communities, 12, responsible consumption and production, then climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institution, and last 17th one, partnership for the goals. So, all these SDGs are integrated and one depends on the others. So, for references, the references are, one is C.B. Gupta, International Business, Sumati Verma, International Business, then Neeta Tripathi, this is a Taxman publication which is a new book, and then e-Pathshala website is there, then Chaturvedi and others, this is a very popular book and very current, then Hill and Hult is an international book of McGraw-Hill, and for this particular lecture I have also referred it from UNDP websites on sustainable development goals. So, you can also go through it for more understanding. I believe you have understood not only this topic, but also whole of the international business, because this is the last lecture on this series on international business. So, students, have a very good read, do well and have a nice day. Thank you, students.